What if the car you drove for 15 years, the one you handed over to that scrapyard without a second thought, never actually died? What if instead of rotting in some forgotten lot on the edge of town, it was quietly swallowed by one of the most powerful and secretive industrial machines on the planet? A machine that strips it down to nothing, melts its bones, shreds its skin, and turns it into something completely new. Something you might be holding in your hand right now without ever knowing it. Most people believe that when a vehicle reaches the end of its life, the story ends there. The keys get handed over, the paperwork gets signed, and the car disappears. But the truth is far more unsettling than that. The truth is that your old car entered a hidden supply chain, a billion-dollar process operating in the shadows of the global manufacturing economy. A process so vast and so precisely engineered that it can reduce a 3,000-pound automobile to reusable raw materials in under 60 seconds. You were never supposed to know how this works. The industry that dismantles, recycles, and resurrects end-of-life vehicles is one of the most profitable and least discussed sectors in the world. It operates quietly, efficiently, and almost entirely out of public view, behind locked gates, underneath clouds of industrial dust, inside facilities that stretch across multiple city blocks. Thousands of workers and hundreds of machines carry out a transformation so complete and so systematic that by the time the process is finished, there is almost nothing left to recognize. No windshield, no engine, no seat, no frame, just raw material, waiting to be reborn. This is not a salvage yard. This is not a junkyard with weeds growing through cracked engine blocks. What we are about to walk you through is something entirely different. A precision-driven, computer-controlled, scientifically optimized industrial operation that generates billions of dollars in revenue every single year. This is the secret world of automotive recycling at the industrial scale. And today, for the first time, you are going in. The numbers alone should stop you cold. According to industry estimates, approximately 27 million vehicles reach the end of their useful lives every single year across the globe. That is 27 million cars, trucks, and vans that must be processed, dismantled, and converted back into material. In the United States alone, the automotive recycling industry generates over $32 billion in annual revenue. It is one of the largest recycling industries on Earth, and yet almost no one can describe what actually happens inside one of these facilities. The curtain has stayed closed for decades, until now. Every vehicle that enters this process carries within it a staggering amount of recoverable material: steel, aluminum, copper, platinum, palladium, rubber, glass, plastic, upholstery fibers, hydraulic fluids, battery chemicals. A single modern automobile contains over 30,000 individual components, and the industry that processes end-of-life vehicles has developed the tools, the techniques, and the technology to extract value from nearly all of them. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is forgotten. Everything is accounted for, catalogued, separated, and redirected into manufacturing pipelines that feed industries you interact with every single day. If you have ever bought a new appliance, a new car, a piece of construction steel, or even a consumer electronic device, there is a measurable probability that somewhere inside that product, hidden within its structure, lives a fragment of a vehicle that was crushed and melted years ago. The steel in your refrigerator may have once been the frame of a sedan. The aluminum in your laptop casing may have once been an engine block. This is not poetry. This is industrial reality, and it is happening at a scale that most people cannot begin to comprehend. But before we go any further into the machines, the chemicals, and the shocking transformations that happen deep inside these facilities, we need to hear from you. If you already knew that the automotive recycling industry was this large and this sophisticated, drop the word metal in the comments right now. And if this is the first time you are learning that your old car was worth far more dead than you ever imagined, leave a comment below telling us what surprised you most. Go ahead and hit the like button as well. It tells us that this kind of content is exactly what you came here for. And if you are not subscribed yet, now is the moment. This channel goes where the cameras are not supposed to go, and you do not want to miss a single frame of what is coming next. Now let us go deeper. The process begins long before the shredder, long before the furnace, long before any machine makes contact with the vehicle. It begins the moment a car is classified as an end-of-life vehicle, a designation that triggers a legal and logistical chain of events that is far more rigorous and far more regulated than most people imagine. In many countries, including the United States, Germany, Japan, and most of the European Union, the disposal of a vehicle is governed by strict environmental legislation. You cannot simply abandon an automobile or hand it over to an unlicensed facility. The fluids inside that vehicle, the engine oil, the transmission fluid, the brake fluid, the power steering fluid, the refrigerants, the battery acid, are classified as hazardous materials, and their handling is subject to oversight that carries serious legal consequences for violations. This is where the first phase of the process happens, in a part of the facility known as the depollution zone. When a vehicle arrives at an authorized treatment facility, it is immediately moved into a controlled workspace where trained technicians begin the systematic removal of every fluid and every hazardous component before anything else is touched. The process is methodical and ruthless in its precision. Fuel tanks are drained, and the fuel is either recovered for reuse or processed for safe disposal. Engine oil is extracted using vacuum systems and stored in sealed containers for recycling into industrial lubricants. Brake fluid and power steering fluid are removed through dedicated collection lines. Coolant is drained and separated from water. Air conditioning refrigerants, compounds that are extraordinarily damaging to the atmosphere if released, are extracted using specialized recovery machines that capture the gas without allowing a single molecule to escape into the air. The battery is removed. On conventional vehicles, this means disconnecting and safely storing a lead-acid unit that contains sulfuric acid and recoverable lead. On hybrid and electric vehicles, the process becomes dramatically more complex and dramatically more valuable. A lithium-ion battery pack from a modern electric vehicle can weigh several hundred pounds and contain cobalt, lithium, manganese, and nickel in quantities that make it one of the most valuable single components in the entire vehicle. These battery packs are not destroyed. They are carefully extracted, tested, and routed either towards second life energy storage applications or toward battery recycling programs specifically designed to recover the rare materials inside them. The global market for electric vehicle battery recycling alone is projected to reach over $35 billion by 2030. And it is growing faster than almost any other segment of the recycling economy. Once the vehicle has been completely depolluted, it enters the next phase, and this is where the process begins to look less like careful maintenance and more like controlled demolition. The tires are removed first. Automotive tires represent one of the most complex recycling challenges in the entire industry because they are engineered specifically to resist degradation. The compounds used to build a modern tire, natural rubber, synthetic rubber, carbon black, steel cord, fabric reinforcement, are bonded together under tremendous heat and pressure, and separating them requires industrial machinery that the average person will never encounter in their lifetime. The tires are sent to dedicated processing facilities where they are cryogenically frozen and then shattered or mechanically shredded into fine crumb rubber that becomes the base material for athletic tracks, playground surfaces, road construction asphalt, and a wide range of industrial products. Back at the main facility with the tires gone, the vehicle is moved to the dismantling line. This is the phase that would shock most people if they could see it firsthand. Teams of highly trained dismantlers work against the clock with pneumatic tools, hydraulic cutters, and specialized extraction equipment to remove every component that carries resale or reuse value before the body is sent to the shredder. Catalytic converters are removed with surgical focus because they contain platinum, palladium, and rhodium, precious metals whose market prices rival gold by weight. A single catalytic converter from a luxury vehicle can contain materials worth several $100s at spot price. Across millions of vehicles processed each year, the value concentrated in catalytic converters alone reaches into the billions. Engines and transmissions that still have mechanical life in them are pulled, tested, cleaned, and entered into the remanufactured parts market, a supply chain that feeds independent repair shops, fleet operators, and export markets in developing countries where demand for affordable used components is enormous and constant. Alternators, starters, power steering pumps, window motors, airbag modules, infotainment systems, seats, headlights, door panels, everything that can be sold is tagged, catalogued, and stored in inventory systems that look more like an Amazon warehouse than anything you might associate with a scrapyard. The parts business alone, operating in parallel with the raw materials recycling operation, generates tens of billions of dollars annually and keeps repair costs manageable for millions of vehicle owners worldwide. What remains after dismantling? The stripped body shell, the remaining interior materials, the glass, the wiring harnesses, the structural steel, is the feed material for the machine that defines this industry above all others, the shredder. There is no gentle way to describe what an automotive shredder does. These machines are among the largest and most powerful pieces of industrial equipment operating anywhere in the civilian world. The largest hammer mill shredders in operation today consume vehicles whole, feeding them through opening jaws wide enough to swallow a full-size pickup truck in a single bite. Inside the shredder, a spinning drum studded with heavy steel hammers rotates at incredible speed, and the vehicle, what is left of it, is beaten, torn, and pulverized into fist-sized fragments in a matter of seconds. The noise generated by an operating automotive shredder is so extreme that workers in surrounding facilities wear double-layered hearing protection, and the ground vibrates hundreds of feet from the machine in every direction. What comes out of the shredder is not garbage. What comes out is a heterogeneous mixture of steel, non-ferrous metals, and a material known in the industry as automotive shredder residue, the plastic, foam, glass, rubber, and fiber content that cannot be separated by simple mechanical means. The metal fractions are extracted using a sophisticated combination of magnetic separation for steel, eddy current separation for aluminum and other non-ferrous metals, and sensor-based sorting systems using X-ray fluorescence and near-infrared technology to identify and separate specific alloys and polymer types with remarkable accuracy. The steel goes to electric arc furnaces, where it is melted and recast into new steel products. The aluminum goes to secondary smelters that produce aluminum alloy for automotive, construction, and packaging applications. Even the automotive shredder residue, historically the most problematic fraction of the process, is now being processed through thermal treatment systems that extract its energy content and recover additional material value. The recovered steel from end-of-life vehicles represents one of the most significant inputs into global steel production. Recycled steel requires approximately 74% less energy to produce than steel made from virgin iron ore, and the automotive recycling stream supplies an enormous proportion of the scrap that feeds electric arc furnaces across North America, Europe, and Asia. Every time a new car rolls off an assembly line, a significant fraction of the steel in that car was, in a previous life, part of a vehicle just like it. The cycle is continuous, invisible, and breathtaking in its efficiency. Aluminum tells an even more compelling story. The automotive industry's shift toward aluminum-intensive vehicle construction, driven by the need to reduce weight and improve fuel efficiency, has dramatically increased the value of end-of-life vehicles as an aluminum source. Recycling aluminum requires only 5% of the energy needed to produce primary aluminum from bauxite ore. The automotive recycling industry has become one of the primary suppliers of secondary aluminum to the global market, and the alloys recovered from shredded vehicles feed into the production of new automotive components, aircraft parts, beverage cans, and construction materials. What you are left with when you pull back and look at the full scope of this industry is not a picture of destruction. It is a picture of transformation so complete and so relentless that the boundary between waste and raw material becomes almost meaningless. Nothing entering this system is truly lost. Everything is converted, redirected, and reintegrated into the manufacturing economy. The car you handed over to that scrapyard did not end. It changed form. It dispersed. It became part of something else. Something new, something that may already be sitting in your driveway, your kitchen, or your pocket. And here is the question we want you to think about and answer in the comments below. If you found out that the steel in your brand new car was recycled from a vehicle just like your old one, does that change how you feel about it? Or does it make you trust the product more? Tell us what you think. Leave your answer below. And if this video took you somewhere you did not expect to go, share it with someone who still thinks their old car was worth nothing.